Hello everyone, and welcome back to Liberty Park Music for another piano techniques lesson. We're going to kick off our scales learning by learning probably the most basic series of scales out there, and that would be major scales, starting from white notes using sharps. Case in point, the first scale in the series is C major, probably the most basic scale of all. And from there, we'll progressively add sharps until we get all the way up to a total of 5 for our B major scale. So, our two things to consider when learning the scales, once again, are going to be the combination of fingers that we use to play the scale, and then also how we consider adding accidentals, in this case, adding sharps. Let's focus on the first one, getting our fingering correct, and then we can talk about the accidentals. So the big preoccupation with playing scales that's different than playing things in close position is, of course, the fact that we have to, at some point, cross to get our way up the scale. We only have 5 fingers. There are 7 plus 1, 8 notes for each scale. So somewhere we have to cross our hands so that we can get our fingers, get ourselves enough fingers to get up there, right? So that is the big preoccupation of scales and why we need specific patterns of fingers to do that. So looking at the C major scale here, you can see the finger numbers now attached to all of the notes. And what you can see is that we have groups of the fingers going from 1, 2, 3 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the keyboard, it's fairly regular to think of this 1, 2, 3, this C, D, E as being a group. And then the next group to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on F, G, A, B, C. So once again, those tend to be the groups that we think of. Some people like to think of them as like blocks, like that, but I tend to like to keep things a little bit more melodic, seeing as how that's the direction that we're going in. So that fingering corresponding to that means that the cross is going to happen between our third finger and the one that lands on the F. So what I'm going to do when I get to that point is I'm going to cross my thumb under after I hit my third finger on the E so that I can reposition onto F. Watch as I do it slowly. One more time. And your goal here is to try and keep as stable a position as possible. One troublesome thing that people often deal with the cross in playing scales is that there's kind of an implied torque that ends up having to happen so that we can reach our thumbs under. And the way you get around this is by making sure that your hand structure is nice and stable so that you have lots of room under these fingers to put this thumb under. If your fingers are more flat, you have to lift up your wrist. So you end up doing something like this, and that throws off the consistency of everything. So we want everything to stay nice and as straight as possible. Let me go ahead and play it again now without the pause in the middle. One more time. So you can see how my hand has a little reposition and then is right back straight with the keyboard. And then, of course, we need to do the same thing coming down, only this time we're going to be crossing that third finger back over the thumb and repositioning it again. So coming back down. One more time. Once again, trying to keep as smooth as possible. And of course, very commonly, the way we end up playing scales is to go up and down, so the whole thing together with the right hand. So that fingering for the right hand, 1, 2, 3, cross, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is our pattern of choice. That is the one that we really want to memorize. It's the one that in the right hand we're going to be using for all of the scales of this set of scales and, hint, hint, all of the scales for the next lesson that we look at as well. Real quickly, let's look at what the left hand is doing. For this, we basically just have the opposite. We're going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1 instead. Our cross is the same thing, except coming up, we are crossing our third finger over between G and A, and then going down, we're crossing our thumb under between the A and the G. Watch as I play the left hand. more time. So, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the right hand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1 for the left hand. This is the pattern. Memorize that sequence of numbers, and once again, you're going to be focusing on getting that for all of these scales that we're playing, and getting that automation going by making sure that these patterns are both in your brain and in your hands is key to making your scales really work for you in the future. So one last thing we have to touch on before we move on to different scales is, of course, that we do tend to play scales with two hands. And so how you configure yourself to figure out the crossing is a really important part of practice. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to go up for as long as it takes to cross and stop on each note. The crossing happens between the E and A on each part. In one spot, one hand is doing it, and the other is doing it. But we want to make sure that we're really secure with which fingers are landing on all of these areas. So I'm going to start from the bottom, playing 5, 4, 3 in my left hand, and 1, 2, 3 in my right, just up to the E to make sure we know what it is. And stopping. And one thing that's a really important little tip to note is that our three fingers will always be together on all parts of the scale. So if you're ever wondering what's going on, if your third finger is not corresponding with where your third finger is in the other hand, something is wrong. Okay, so we've gone up to E. Now we're going to go up to the F, which means my right hand is crossing the thumb, but my left hand is just going right up the hand to 2. So like this. And stopping. Notice that my right hand is getting into position even though I'm not continuing. Right? We want to build that habit of getting into position to continue up. So next we continue all the way to G, which for the left hand is just going up to the thumb. And for the right hand, we are now continuing onto our 5-fingered position there up to the second finger. And stopping. And finally, we have one more, our cross on our left hand. Now, our third finger is going to A. For our right hand, our third finger is going on A, but we're not in crossing. We're right in the middle of our 5-finger position. And stopping, noticing that my left hand is getting into position to continue. Okay? And of course, to be thorough, you would do the same process back down. But that is a really important process to be doing because where people really tend to trip up is in the crossing, especially when both hands are doing it. Making sure you're really secure with it is going to make a huge difference when we start to do things like play in multiple octaves or play different style scales, play different ways, and certainly for playing in the other scales that we're going to be talking about in just a moment. So, one last time in summary. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. That is your combination. That is your necessary fingering combination for these scales, for the next set we're going to look at in the next lesson. So memorize it and get good at it. Thanks for watching this lesson from Liberty Park Music. If you enjoyed this lesson and learned something from it, do us a favor, hit that like button. And if you really liked it, share it around. Let your friends and family check it out too. If you want to find more lessons like this or explore other piano-related topics, please come visit us at libertyparkmusic.com. We have full piano courses ranging from beginner to more advanced levels, and everything is online and streaming 24/7 so that you can design your music learning around your schedule and learn in the comfort of your own home from a talented roster of professional teachers and musicians. Come check us out.